how important were the two joint practices last week for your group to kind of separate themselves from maybe what everyone else thought? It really mattered what you thought. Put them out there, and like I said, you worked through them against a line that's pretty talented in Detroit.
I think it was a great evaluation tool for myself and for the organization to get to see them against someone else. When you're in camp and you go against your guys all the time, you kind of get used to who a guy is and what he could do. I have a great deal of respect for Detroit's offensive line and their offensive line coach. We go way back together. So they're physical, they're tough, they're tall, they're long. So in order to get the best evaluation for all the competition I had in my room, I had to rotate the groups because I wanted to see a large number of them against their best guys. And so that's why I did it that way.
Do you get to a point, and I'm sure you've had in your career, where you have a group that you want them to compete? Does it get to a point in the summer where you need to shorten the rotation a little bit to be able to get guys you believe are ahead of the game more reps together?
Yeah, I think once you start to get close to that last one, you start to kind of have an idea of how the rotational pieces are probably going to work together. To me right now, we're still in training camp mode, and we're still trying to see who can do what, who's going to take the next step forward, who's playing well enough that they can be a great rotational piece, who could be a guy that can go in and rush for us on third down, who can play multiple spots across the line. So if you've been out at practice, you've pretty much seen everybody everywhere.
Right.
And that's what I've been trying to do is trying to find those answers. So when we get close to the end, that we're able to have the best group that we can put together to give us a chance to win.
Elijah Chapman told me that you're getting things out of him that he never saw before. And I would imagine, knowing you the last couple of years, that's a trend with players. How important is it for you to make that connection with guys early, earn their trust, and maybe see things that they don't necessarily believe that they could put out on the field?
I try to hit that point with them early because at the beginning, I always tell them, you're going to learn how to play football all over again. And so everything you learned in high school and college, you got to throw out the window. Well, in order for them to surrender and do that, they got to believe, to have some confidence in me, right? Because, they figure I got here by doing what I did in college. So I want to keep doing that. And I have to find a way to get them to see that what I'm trying to get them to do will help them be a professional football player for a long time. And for some guys, it could help them be a great professional football player for a long time. So, that's why it's important for me to try to build a relationship with them, so they'll be willing to surrender to coaching and try it. And I always tell them there's going to be a lot of failure before it's success, and I'm not going to yell at you because you failed. That's part of it. In order to own it, you got to fail too. Just keep working. And so I've done that with all of them. Elijah's done a great job so far. He's a strong, powerful, explosive kid. He's short. He's not little, right? That's the thing that I keep telling people. There's two different things. He's probably the strongest guy on the team.
That says a lot for some of the guys you have in your room.
He's got good arm length for himself. He's explosive. He's powerful. He's quick. His lack of height helps him. Everybody in my room, I got to talk about pad level. I don't talk about pad level with him. You know what I mean? So now he still has a long way to go to be the kind of player that I want him to be, and to make this team. He's still got a long way to go, but he's gotten better, and he's put some good things on tape, and he's just got to continue to progress. I've coached guys like him. I've coached guys his height, and they ended up being pretty good football players. And I don't know if he will, but he's got some qualities that I can't give him as a coach. And it's just a matter of him continue to grind and try to get better at it.
With Drew out for a while, however long, is this more of an opportunity for Tommy now?
Yeah, I think anytime, guy gets nicked up for a little bit, the next guy up has big opportunity, and I think Tommy understands that, especially with going through what he went through last year in terms of having to step up when Ty and Daniel got hurt. So yeah, that definitely an opportunity for him, and got a lot of confidence in Tommy.
In the practices with the Lions, and I didn't see this or hear this myself, candidly, but I think Daniel kind of got into a fray. Actually, we all saw a little bit of that, at least. Does part of you there, like, how do you react to that? You obviously don't want an injury there, but there's a toughness quotient there that maybe overrides it. I don't know.
Here's what I'd say to that is, I'd want Daniel Jones on my team any day of the week. Sticking up for his guy. Yeah, we don't want him running in there in the fights and all that, but sticking up for his guy and being there to have your teammates back is definitely something we want, and I'd take Daniel Jones any day.
Sometimes people, and I know this is a better question for Daniel, but you're the one in front of me. Sometimes when people go through something, they come back maybe a little more grateful or maybe with a different perspective of some sort. Did you notice any of that in Daniel?
Sure. I think Daniel always wants to be out there, so I think, anytime something gets taken away from you and you feel like you can't be out there the way you want, I think all of us would feel like that. Like you said, probably a better question for him. I don't know if it's grateful or more hungrier to be out there. Like if there's a difference there, maybe there is, but
right.
I think so. I think that's fair to say.
I know he's injured now, but what do you make of Drew Lock's camp? It seems like he's been a little more up and down than maybe I expected from a 6-year veteran.
Yeah, I think Drew's had a good camp. He's coming in, he's learning the system, learning new guys, learning a completely new language than he's ever been used to. So I think he's handled it really well from that standpoint. I think he's done everything we've asked him, and it's just to continue to grow and learn and get more comfortable as we go.
With Kafka was upstairs during the game, right? So Dan might have just asked you this. I apologize if you did. With Dable being the play caller and head coach, who then has to watch the defense when the defense is out there, what responsibilities does that give you with the offense on the bench, if that makes sense? Since Mike's upstairs, I assume you're the guy going over the film with the players on the sideline.
Yeah, it's been the same. I go over right with the quarterbacks and we talk about the series, and if there's any communication needed with another position coach or a position group, and we handle it right there. But nothing's really changed from that standpoint. It's pretty much the same. Mine and Calf's communication is the same. Mine and Dave's communication is picked up obviously a little bit because he's coming over and wanting to talk about what just happened, but not much different at all. It's still the same process.
What did you make early in camp? It seemed like there were quite a few underthrows from DJ. Did you make getting used to playing with faster receivers, plant leg trust after the injury? What'd you make of it?
Yeah, I think it's just probably getting used to the speed of those guys and, trust in your ability to just throw it down there. And it's a fine line, right? You want to hit the guy in stride, but you don't want to overthrow him. Then, the underthrow, it's a balance and we keep working on it. I think that we improved as camp went on. We've hit more and more as it went on, so it's good to see that improvement and now just keep building off of that.
What made you confident that he was your guy when really, you're dealing with 3 aces there?
Yeah, I don't think he could have gone wrong with any of those guys. Would have been really happy to get them all, and just kind of, on the spur of the moment right there when I was asked the question, that was my response, and I believe in it, and certainly believe in Malik and the kind of player he can be for us.
What was it from that meeting or before he got here and started dominating practice? What did you see that made you that was your answer?
Well, I think he has all the tools that you're looking for as a receiver. The analogy to baseball would be a 5-tool player, I believe, and I think he can do all of that. He can be a threat in the quick game, intermediate, obviously down the field. So he's a threat on all levels. He certainly can do a lot with the ball after the catch, and not everybody can do that, and I think he possesses those traits as well, and his competitive toughness, this desire to go out there and compete and dominate every day, I think jumped off the tape.
So you had obviously a pretty strong impression of what he was going into the draft, right? The film, interacting with him. Now that you've seen him out here on the field, anything new, anything in particular?
No, very happy with it.
It's all the same. It confirmed everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything you've
He's
seen
gotten off
in
to a very
person?
good start. You know, he's really invested off the field. We've thrown a lot at him. We're not spoon feeding him, just throwing a lot at him. And so the extra time that we put in together and getting him prepared to go out there and be able to just cut it loose and go make plays. Been very impressed with his approach on a daily basis in training camp, which, you know, can be a little bit of a grind mentally, as much as physically.
How do you think, I mean, some of the corners he'll go against, well, he'll face the number one corner likely every week. And some of these guys are, you know, grown men. This is a 21-year-old kid. How do you think he'll handle that? These guys trying to beat him up a little bit.
I think he'll handle it well. I mean, there's going to be moments, right, like there is for every rookie, where they have to adjust to playing, you know, guys that have been in this league for several years, and I think he's up to that challenge. I think he will be. I mean, they'll get him every now and then, but he's going to get his share too.
I know he didn't get any action the other night, but what did you see out of him in those handful of plays that he played, and was he getting himself open?
Yeah, I thought he did a nice job with the plays, seeing the coverages, making coverage adjustments where it was needed. You know, Detroit was kind of showing a 3-deep shell and then rolling out to cover 2, which cover 2 is designed to take the guys outside away and take the big plays away down the field. But he was on it. He was seeing the coverages. He was targeted right in the run game. And I think it was good for him just to get out there and get his feet wet.
Where do you stand as with super talented guys like that? A lot of people would just say, hey, just, you know, for a quarterback, just he's always open. You know, the guy's that talented, you know, or throw him open, that kind of thing. Where do you stand on that for, you know, as a receivers coach? And
well,
when you have somebody that talented,
I think that you can play that game, right? You can single them up on the backside and see, you know, the way the defense responds and be able to play that game. And that's just the quarterback having that kind of confidence in a guy who's going to get open. You see that on all levels in all sports. And, you know, I think Malik's got the potential to develop into that kind of player.
Where in particular does he need to, where are his next steps in particular?
I think just his growing comfort in the system. Like I said, Daryl, we've thrown a lot at him. We're asking him to do a lot mentally every day. And I think just every rep that he gets out here, he gains more confidence in what to do. And as soon as he knows what to do, he can just react to what he's seeing from both the guy across from him or whatever the play call is coming in, and can really let his ability take over. And I think that we're seeing that happen, you know, really on a daily basis. But it's just getting the reps and immersing himself into everything that we're asking him to do.
Having never seen him practice before this, that Brian Burns is on an accelerator instead of taking his foot off the gas. What have you seen from him in this camp?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's hungry, and I think he wants to achieve and attain, you know, reach new heights that he's never been to before. So that's been his motivation and fuel since he's been here. And the way he works, I've just honestly been really impressed with. I mean, for his profile in this league and to have gotten paid like he did, for him to show up and work and be engaged and intentional with the way he goes about his business, been really impressive. You know, and that'll help him get to those places that he's trying to get to.
I had a friend who covered Brian in Carolina, and he said the one thing amazing about his sacks was in the fourth quarter he never had a chance to get one because the other team was in the kill the ball mode. I mean, do you sense that he's anticipating fourth quarter, this is going to be fun time this year?
I think so. I think he's just embracing any challenge that you know exists or that'll be presented to him. And I think he's just generally just hungry and working and trying to push himself, and whatever production follows that, I think, you know, he'll be happy with. But yeah, I mean, last year was a tough year in Carolina, and you know they were down in a lot of games, and you're not getting many chances to rush in those situations. So hopefully we have some leads and he can, you know, be fresh and hungry and, you know, take advantage of those moments.
Jerry said in the spring that you guys kind of collaborate. I'm just curious, like, how and when does that happen?
You know, it can be, you know, meeting room, it can be on the field, you know, just kind of whatever the moment needs, you know. But it's been great working with Dre and his guys, and you know that's something that I'm used to doing. I think the outside backers and D-line to have, you know, joint success have to work well together, you know, and that's kind of how we've approached it here. So it's, you know, I wouldn't say there's one particular area that we you know focus on. It's just kind of whatever the moment calls for. That's kind of what we do.
You mentioned hopefully having no drop off when Kayvon and Burns come out.
Yep.
What have you seen from Aziz and Boogie and whoever else would be 3, 4, 5?
Yeah, Aziz is an athletic, capable pass rusher. He's got a natural feel for it. He's been, by God's grace, been healthy this training camp. So to see a healthy Aziz is a good thing. And, Aziz fits more in the KT Burns athletic mold. Boogie's a little bit more in the bigger bodied mold. So I think to have different skill sets go out there and just throw different pitches at the tackles will help us. There's, of those guys who have played significant NFL plays before, there's 4 capable guys that all have a little bit different skill set. But it's been great to see Aziz healthy and for a stretch go out there and allow him to be who he is.
We always talk about edge rushes and sacks.
Yep.
I mean, a lot of edge rushers get sacks, but they can't stop the run. How much of stopping the run do you have to teach an edge rusher?
A lot. I mean, it's all the skill sets are necessary, and you can't, going back to Burns, you can't rush if you don't stop the run, So that's the foundation of what we do. You have to stop the run first, because if you don't, the opposing team has no incentive to throw it, or no reason to throw it, I guess I should say. So that's a big part of what we do, and we work on it every day.
You know what this defense is supposed to look like when it's clicking. How do you feel like, is it where it's supposed to be at this point? Are the guys ahead? Is it like, oh, well, it's new, so they're still in the early stages of learning?
I feel like we're on track. I really do. I think the growing pains that still exist are more kind of the mental, schematical, just kind of getting guys used to playing in the scheme. But the part that I think is on track is just the mentality part, our style, how we play. I think at all levels that's shown up, and it was
I'm sorry to interrupt. Yeah. What style is that?
Just an aggressive, attacking, physical group, and I think, we saw it in practice versus Detroit. Obviously, they're a very talented team. They made a deep run in the playoffs last year, and so to go up against them and see those things come to light, against a good opposing team was a good measuring stick for us, and I think we did see it, and we just got to keep building.
What have you seen from your line as a whole through camp and in the game on Thursday?
Yeah.
Losing track of days already.
They're all Groundhog Day. It's like the movie. I'd say at this point, I'm just pleased with how they work, how they come in each day, prepare, starting to gel as a unit. Guys have an opportunity to kind of work next to one another a little bit. Still plenty of room to grow. That's what this week will be critical about. As far as improvement, having an opportunity to actually get out there and go against somebody else other than your team. So you can kind of start to pick apart some flaws and some things that we maybe need to hone in on technique-wise or communication, things that might give us an issue. But overall, I like how they're working, and they're a joy to be around. They're a good group. They like one another.
I know you play the card you dealt, but Dable and Shane were both pretty clear that they wanted an early 5 to gel together, and you obviously haven't had that with Schmitz out for a while, Van Roten being signed. How do you adjust to that?
I think, firstly, you're correct that you'd like to have your group, but it's the NFL. I think if you can get your top 7 or 8 working together, that's probably the best you can do in this league, no matter what injuries are a result. I would feel pretty comfortable in the fact that with Greg having a relationship with Jermaine, that can kind of cut away. And then just Greg being a veteran, he can slide in their room pretty easy and kind of figure it out.
So if he's not your center when John is out, he's your right guard?
I mean, Greg obviously has center guard flex, so I think there's a good chance that he'll play inside. I don't anticipate him playing tackle at all. It's a good thing you can do, which is the more you can do, it's better for all of us.
Is Josh Azudu fully a tackle now at this point? Is that how you view him?
We've given him reps at both tackle and guard. I think, again, going back to that whole the more you can do, he's played guard in the past. I think he and I had spoken in the offseason, and I think I wanted to just make sure we got a good evaluation of him at tackle and just getting more reps there. But he definitely plays guard as well.
You weren't here, obviously, but you just said you spoke to him in the offseason. His confidence was kind of shot last year. How do you see Josh building back up this camp?
I think you do that by just doing your job well on a daily basis and understanding there are some things that will be out of your control, and you concentrate on what you can control.
Do you have any concerns about John Michael Schmitz for week 1?
To me, obviously we'll play the guys that are available, but at this time I would expect him to be able to ready to go.
behind the scenes, how is Evan Neal working? What's your evaluation been of a guy who's been on the field?
It's obviously tough on that regard, but my interactions with him were great, obviously, in the meetings and where he's been at, and he's done everything we've asked up until this point. So I'm pleased in that regard. So.
What can he do, I guess, since he's not able to get on the field?
PUP, obviously, he can't play, he can't practice. He's not out there.
But behind the scenes, I mean.
So behind the scenes, obviously, he's working his tail off with strength and conditioning, and then he's in every meeting, he participates in our meetings. So just what the nature of the NFL rules are with PUP.
Are you meeting with him extra, or like is he meeting with teammates extra?
I mean, there's extra available, and players avail themselves of that, but by no means with the CBA the way it is. I mean, it's all voluntary when they're asking to do that.
Normally, if your right guard and right tackle weren't getting reps a lot together in training camp, it would be a concern, right?
Yeah.
But you obviously alluded to the fact that these two guys played a bunch of snaps. He did so under you. You know what I mean? Yeah. So is that one of those things where you view it as like they can pick it back up? You know,
I think there's a confidence and familiarity with them having played 17 games next to one another. And I think there's also kind of alluding to Greg playing different spots. Greg has had a year under his belt of the system that we ran, which working with me and how we do some combinations or we do different things technique-wise, but then also Greg was at Buffalo post-Dabes, but the system was still in place, so the verbiage to him is very similar as well. So there was a feeling very comfortable with the calls and then what the system is. So those are two things that kind of make you sleep better at night.
I know it wasn't your ones who were out there the other night, but were you very satisfied with the run blocking for what the groups you saw out there?
I thought we did some good things in the fact that we wanted to make sure we leaned into our gap double teams and getting hip to hip and trying to establish some toughness. I would say pleased, not satisfied, it would be my kind of feeling in that regard. They demonstrated some toughness, they demonstrated some fundamentals. We still cut a couple guys loose here and there, whether it was a hat ME and or just, we can always be better in that regard. But I think it was a step in the right direction, but miles to go.
Is any line coach ever satisfied?
No, that's a reality. You can't be. You really can't get comfortable.
How would you size up the cornerback to position, battle, whatever you want to call it?
Right now, Flott's going to be down this week. I'm sure you know that from Coach.
Right.
Or you don't. All right. And Nick's going to play, and so he'll get a chance to go in and play and see how he does. And it is a position that right now Flott's played there all camp, but now with him being out, Nick's going to get a chance to go in there, and Nick's had to move just because of circumstance, and so now he'll get a chance to play, and we'll see what it looks like.
Yeah, what have you seen from Nick? Because he's been, like you said, he's been bouncing first team, third team, slot.
He's been extremely reliable. He's been extremely competitive, extremely locked in, and I think he's going to make it hard on Flott. Nick's going to go out there and play balls to the wall. He's going to give everything he's got to put himself in the conversation, and he's in the conversation, but to I think keep it. So it'd be interesting to see how he plays. I'm excited for him.
You think he had a little chip on his shoulder because
if you know Nick McLeod, he carries a chip, a whole bag of them around all the time. It's what gives him a chance to play, because he doesn't ever go into any situation doubting himself. He goes into every situation with absolute confidence that he can go out there and that he's a starter in this league and that he should be playing, and that's his mentality since day one here, and that continues to be his mentality. And at the same time, he's a great teammate. At the same time, he's the guy who, again, hey Nick, I need you today to play money, I need you today to play the nickel, and he just does whatever you ask him to do. But he's really, really ultra competitive, ultra confident that he's a guy, he's the guy. And again, he'll get his chance this weekend to be out there, and we'll see how it looks.
So sorry if you've been asked this, what have you thought of Flott at outside corner?
I thought that he was picking up momentum and then he had the little setback. So disappointed that, like right now, we'll see how it goes during the week.
Setback with the quad.
You setback with the quad. I thought he was starting to play his best football, and then he had the quad. So hopefully we get him back soon, so that he can get back in there and show us what he is. And so hopefully we just get him back soon.
Is there a chance that when he's back, you would have him working in the slot again, or do you like what Drew's doing there and you see Flott now as an outside guy?
Like what Drew's doing in the slot, and that's beside the point. But we will obviously need flexibility to move pieces around and to match up. And so Flott is a guy that gives you that flexibility to match up by game plan and by week. And so that's absolutely something that he will be ready for.
If there's a bag of chips lying around that Nick McLeod doesn't have on his shoulder, Dane Belton carries those on his shoulder. How do you look at the other position battle, I would say, in your group between him and Nubin?
Yeah, and see, and then that one's, Nubin hadn't had a chance to be out there very much. And, he got his first real action in the game and, did some good stuff, but thought Dane played well too. So, that position is still, we're still working through that one. They're both going to get reps. That's my alarm.
That's good.
It was to tell me that I had to be in here and I didn't turn it off. I was walking and I said, I better set an alarm so I'm not late for you guys.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
So we'll see how that plays out. Dane has had a solid camp, had a really good camp. And then Nubin just hadn't been able to show us as much, what he's got, but he'll get that chance going forward.
What Nubin show you in the game?
Really physical. There's a play where, the guard's pulling and he goes and knocks him on his ass. Like big boy ball. He's really competitive, really confident. Just got to, again, let that play out and see how it plays out.
There was scenes in Hard Knocks where, I forget, you and Bowen loved Nubin. What was it about Nubin that you guys...
just watch the tape and even hear his intensity and his energy and his focus just jumps off the tape at you when you watch the tape. And then when you get him here live, you see how important football is to him and how much he cares and how much of an impact he can have on others because he cares so much. And that's something that we were absolutely intrigued by, and that's why he's here.
Tay Banks, in his effort to be a true number one and guard best on best, how do you think he's doing throughout camp, including the week against the Lions where he finally got to face another?
Yeah, Tay continues to take steps and to grow and mature. We hope that he's going to turn into one of those true number ones that you just say, hey, we put him on that guy and we feel good. Not that he's going to hold him to no catches because that's not realistic, but that they're going to play an even game between the two of them, whoever their number one receiver is. We keep pushing him to that and hopefully, he gets there.
Was he excited that he played the other night?
Say what?
Was he excited that he was playing the other night?
Oh yeah, anytime you go, you get a chance to go on the grass, Tay is ready to go and likes it and is excited to be out there.
So if you guys wind up at some point, maybe week one, counting your nickel as your starters, 2 rookies in the slot and free, and a second-year guy in Banks, how would you feel about having a group that inexperienced rolling out there?
We have the group we have, and I'm excited about the group, and I think the group is going to play hard. I think they're going to compete. I think the group is going to go out there and be confident, and they may be young, but I think what they lack in experience, they'll make up for in competitiveness and want to.
Have a really strong game throughout in the preseason opener. Just wanted to start with Tyron Tracy, the rookie, and what you liked about how he played.
Definitive would be the word that I think you describe him right now. And that was the goal for all of us. I wanted us to go out there and obviously understand the game plan. It wasn't too complex, but have the ability to play fast and just let it fly. And so we can make good evaluations as far as, where we're at within the depth chart, make a fair assessment from their play style. And obviously the lights are not as big as they are, come here in about 3-4 weeks. but at least it's the good first impression for him.
Is that rare for a rookie to be definitive in his first real NFL action?
No. It's a standard for us. I mean, it's, we're constantly trying to create a culture in the room, and part of that is what we do out there in practice, and it just has to carry over. So, is it rare? No. It doesn't surprise me one bit. That's kind of what I expected from him and the rest of the room.
Joe, you mentioned your depth chart. Do you look at 2, 3, 4? Obviously, assuming Devin's 1. Do you look at 2, 3, 4 as a wide open competition, or has somebody grabbed a foothold?
I see it as a wide open competition right now. I think all three of those guys that played in the game, they did something to help their cause. And from a coaching perspective, you're always looking at things that maybe have held them from making a big jump to create some more separation. So, that's why we come out here and practice. It's stuff to work on and clean up from the game, and they're up to the challenge.
When I look at Singletary, forgive me, I don't have the exact numbers. I don't think he's had more than 200 carries, not touches, carries in a season. How confident are you he can be that next level 200 plus carry workhorse?
I mean, the season will kind of dictate that as far as how we're running the ball. How each game's a different story, how it plays out. So, he's done nothing but prove that he can, carry some of the load right there. And then, it's my job as an evaluator and Dave's and CAF and all this to find out, who can take a couple carries off of him when maybe he does get into a heavy load during a game or towards the end of the season. Because, as we all know, inevitably something happens during the season and you need somebody to step up.
What did you learn about Eric Gray taking that kind of dirty hit in practice? He stays in that practice, makes some plays, and then obviously pops a big one, a big catch in the game.
Being a fresh set of eyes here with him, and he's still relatively young, in the whole process of NFL football. But what I learned about him is he's tough. He's tough, and he's not going to back down to a challenge. He may not be this boisterous personality, but he's serious. He's a pro football player, and that run, it was special because he made a guy miss and made him look silly. And that's more credit to him as far as bouncing back, after getting the hit, and then he played downhill football, which was nice to see out there on game night.
How important is it for any of your backs to make the kind of catch like he did on that wheel route? Just in your offense.
Oh, it's everything. I mean, obviously, the perfect back is one that doesn't have to come off the field. They can run the runs, they can catch the catches, and they can block when called upon. We didn't get tested that much in the game, but come up third down, clutch situation, that was big. And he's done that in practice as well. So am I surprised? No, but it's just reassuring. It's confirmation that on game day it's not too big.